Breakfast is a weapon. If the ditch is not dug, you do not eat. If the pot is late, your tent eats cold. If you burn the bread, you grind a second measure. The horn has not sounded. The camp still sleeps, but your day has already begun. Every legionary knows, food is the first duty. Grain in the sack means miles on the road. No grain, no march. No march, no empire. You rise because the decanus, the tent leader, made you learn the rhythm. 8 men share one tent, 1 mill, 1 pot. 2 kneel at the hand quern, stone grinding stone. Another checks the water skin. Another feeds the coals the way winter training drilled into your hands. This is how strength is made before a single order is spoken. You dress your pack with practiced hands. 3 days' food high and dry, biscuit, hardtack, where your hand finds it without looking, salt meat wrapped tight, tools hung where they won't bite when you run. Saw, pick, hook, thong, a leather strap. Your century, roughly 80 men, forms by habit. The optio, the centurion's deputy, walks the rank counting what matters: water, weight, feet ready to move. On the road you eat the way campaign life demands, cold and quiet. You crack hard biscuit on the march. You sip posca, a soldier's water cut with vinegar, because it settles dust and keeps you thirsty enough to drink again. Fires wait for evenings. Pace wins days. You keep the pot honest. When a wagon runs late, 1 man shaves his measure, another tops his, and 8 bowls still appear. Grain carries the day. Meat visits. Beans visit when the market is honest and scouts are lucky. The tent shares a mill, a pot, and a timetable. You read a countryside like a ledger, barns and ovens on one side, smoke and nails on the other. Ahead, the enemy burned his own granaries. So the company does what the book says next. Foraging parties, guarded food gatherers, go out with shields up and eyes outward. You move in files as drilled, shield forward, spear ready, no chatter. Wood, water, anything that boils. The aquators, the water carriers, count skins in and skins out. You note the springheads, the shaded bank, the clean flow, because grain without water is a stone, and fire without wood is a story. The signifer, the standard bearer, keeps the time so the line returns whole. You build the bed you sleep inside because soldiers do that before they eat. Fossa and vallum, ditch and rampart, stakes set true, walkways tamped. The optio sets the pace by example. The tesserarius, the watch officer, checks the list and marks the hands of those who will hold until dark. Only when the ground is shaped does the smell of food belong to anyone. You begin to make gruel, boiled grain porridge learned in the first week. Grain first, water in, stir until it holds its shape. If issue was kind or the trader's quick, you cut in bacon to wake the pot, throw in beans to thicken it, and finish with a dash of vinegar. 1 pot, 8 bowls. The taste is simple, the lesson is not. The pot returns the miles you spent. When there is time, you bake bread as taught. Hot stone for the floor, a clay bell, a portable cover for the sky, coals piled thick. Listen for the hollow knock that says done. Loaves rise where dirt lay an hour before. Bread is patience turned edible. Near Alesia, Caesar's siege in Gaul, the work is circles upon circles, just like the diagrams. 1 ditch faces the town, 1 faces the relief, the rescue army, that must come. Inside the lines, soldiers dig by turns, eat by turns, and relieve each other on the shovel as if it were the spear. Grain becomes walls, and walls by tomorrow. You set aside a handful for morning because the decanus will check. The tesserarius brings the watchword, the password, and you pass it down until your mouth knows it without thinking. Straps are tightened where they will bite at dawn. Fires settle. The century holds the dark between them. Silence is a drill, too. On watch, you count breaths and distances. You measure the slope of the ditch with your eye and the weight of the spear in your hand. A fox rustles beyond the stakes, and 3 shields lift as one. Nothing comes. You lower them because the tesserarius, the watch officer, taught you not to waste your arms on ghosts. Relief arrives. You pass the watchword, the password, softly, the way you were told. Hands trade the same spear and the same responsibility. You return to the tent by habit, stepping where you stepped before so your foot finds no tent peg in the dark. There is work even at night. A strap is repunched. A sandal nail is replaced with a spare from a friend's pouch. Vinegar and water wash dust from feet so blisters do not own tomorrow's miles. Old hands show new ones how to wrap a binding so it bites less at dawn. When the tent is quiet, a man whispers a prayer, another carves a message onto wax for a wife who will read it months late and answer months later. The army is one road, but every man walks it from a different door. Beyond the rampart, riders test the dark. You cannot see them, but you feel the space tighten, the way a tent rope tightens before the wind. If they come, the horn will tell you which way to face. Until then, discipline is the shield. The stars thin. Fires fall to ash. Men on last watch stamp their feet and breathe on their hands. A trumpet coughs a test note and then holds its tongue. Before the horn, the first pair moves without a word. The hand mill waits. Stone on stone, grain turns. Someone checks skins at the water trench so the morning count is honest. Someone feeds the coals to bring them back to orange. Ration stretch is a lesson you learn early. If wagons lag, you parched grain the night before, dry and crackling, so it can be chewed on the road without breaking a tooth. If salt meat runs low, you cut thinner and stir longer so the pot still smells like promise. Inspection comes between darkness and light. The optio, the deputy, walks the line and sees more than he says. A bowl too full now means a bowl too empty later. Men who learn this the hard way nod without speaking and shave their measure with the flat of the hand. When rain begins, procedure does not change. Cloaks up, shields angled, firewood covered, gruel thickened, not drowned. The decanus reminds the tent that wet wood smokes, smoke calls arrows, and a hot breakfast is not worth a dead man. Orders come short and flat. Stand to. Strike camp. Form the road. You eat enough to move. You pack the pot with a rag in its mouth so soot does not paint the inside of the tent. You lift the weight that will be your day. On the line, the signifer, the standard bearer, raises the mark, and 80 men find their places by instinct. Files correct, intervals clean, nothing loose to snag in the first 100 steps. The horn speaks. The road takes you. The first hill of the morning writes the truth on every face. Good milling gives easy miles. Bad milling drags your knees. Men who cut corners stare at their boots and promise to do better tonight. Cavalry pass, dusting the column with their hurry. They scout the flanks and count the cook smoke of the enemy. When they return, they speak to officers first, then to no one, and the files learn to read their faces instead of their words. By late morning, thirst is a math problem. You sip, not gulp. You shade the waterskin with your cloak. You keep one swallow for the last mile before the halt, because the halt arrives exactly when it is allowed, not when you want it. At the halt, there is no fire. Biscuit, a bite of cheese, a handful of yesterday's beans cold from the pot. You sit if you can sit, stand if you must, and stretch your feet the way the medicus, the doctor, showed you so the blisters do not tear. Then the road again. Boots on dust, leather creak, the quiet clink of 1,000 small necessities. Men stop talking, not because they are unhappy, but because breath is a coin and the hill ahead is expensive. When the day finally breaks and the order to make camp comes down the line, every man becomes a builder without being told. Ditch and rampart, stakes and walkways, latrines set where the book says they must be set. Water fetched on a guard's schedule, not a thirsty man's whim. Routine makes safety, and safety buys time to cook. The pot returns to the fire and the lesson repeats. Grain first. Water in. Stir until it holds. Bacon if you have it, beans if you bought them, greens if the scouts found any that a goat would eat. Vinegar wakes the tongue. 8 bowls later, the tent is quiet because hunger has nothing left to say. If there is time for bread, men gather close for the lesson the clay bell teaches. Heat steady, not wild. Coals on top as much as under. Knock and listen for hollow. Share while steam still rises because the night will take the heat away faster than the line can. Beyond the lamps, Elysia holds its breath, and somewhere outside the outer ditch, another army sharpens spears by starlight. You cannot change that. You can change the hand that turns the stone. You can change the care you give the pot. Tomorrow's march will spend whatever strength you make tonight. So you set aside a handful for morning, because the decanus will check and because the habit feeds you even when the wagons do not. You pass the word down the line until it is memory, not speech. Straps are tightened where they will bite at dawn. Fires settle. The century holds the dark between them, and the road waits where it always waits, just beyond the coals.